Hello, welcome to Project Review Committee. My name is Oscar Cepeda. I am the chairperson for Project Review Committee. We're going to go ahead and start today's meeting at 1:35 p.m. Welcome. First off, I'm going to go ahead and do roll call here for city staff, starting with myself, Oscar Cepeda. I am the chairperson for PRC and also the associate planner with the planning division. We're joined by Jeff O'Neill, our city planner. We're also joined by Rocio Mejia, our assistant planner. Garrett Keller also joins us as our planning technician. From the engineering department, Javier Sanchez joins us as the engineering and project management director. With our fire department, Clayton Dignam joins us as the fire marshal. With the building division, we have James Wickersham joins us as our chief building official. From the public works department, Robert Alvarez joins us as the field services manager. David Payne also joins us as the water utility superintendent. Brianna Spry joins us as our field services superintendent for refuse. And also Joe Baeza joins us as our field services superintendent for streets. And we also have joining us from the police department, we have Mark Acevedo as our police department lieutenant. And that is all from city staff. At this time, we're going to go ahead and open oral communications. And this is the opportunity for public members to address the committee on any matter pertaining to project review. Hearing no comments in person, are there any members joining us online that would like to address the committee on any matter related to project review? Hearing none, we're going to go ahead and close oral communications. For today's PRC agenda, we do have 3 items. And we'll start with the first item, which is PRC 2024-035. It is a resubmittal of a previous multifamily project. Let me go ahead and share my screen here of the project. The applicant is proposing 10 total duplexes for a total of 20 units. The property is located east of North J Street near Mulberry Avenue on APN 247-170032. The property is within, the property is within the RM2 medium density residential zone district and has a general plan land use designation of medium density residential. As far as comments from the planning department, the development is not showing the adequate required parking, which would require to provide an additional 24 stalls. The development code requires for multifamily units to provide 2 parking stalls, one of those stalls to be covered and designated for that unit, and then also guest parking, 1 per every 5 units. So at this time, the project is short 24 additional parking stalls for the development. There are options in the development code if the applicant would like to request a parking reduction through a minor conditional use permit. Another item that we see here is this front duplex. The code does require any units adjacent to the street to have those units orientated to that street. That could possibly be easily achieved if we just propose the patio on the western side of that unit. Other comments include landscaping standards for the development, which are outlined in chapter 303 of the development code. Any lighting and illumination for the project complying with 300.07 of the development code. Trash enclosures are required for developments of 4 units or more. Our refuse department can go over that in just a moment, but we will require that the development of those trash enclosures comply with 300.13 of the development code. Any fences or freestanding walls proposed complying with 300.03 of the development code. If the project would propose any signage, you are allowed 1 building mounted sign and 1 monument sign, not exceeding 32 square feet of cumulative sign area. And that's going to be all comments from planning at this time. And with that, I'll proceed with our building division with James.
At this time, Oscar, no comments during PRC. Any comments from me would come through the plan review process.
Thank you, James. Next, we'll go with our engineering division with Javier.
All right. Let's see. So I know we'd seen this before. So this is all intended to be one site, not individual parcels.
Correct. They're now moving forward with, previously they were proposing a parcel map, but now they're just gonna keep, they're moving away from the land division and just developing the site as a whole.
Okay. Yeah, so our comments will be real similar to last time where the frontage improvements will be required. So curb gutter, a landscape strip and offset sidewalk. There'll be a street light needed there. And that's pretty much the extent of it, just those improvements along J Street.
Thank you, Javier.
Mhm.
Next, we'll move along with our fire department with Clayton.
Okay, can you zoom in on that hammerhead for the site plan?
Yes, sir. 1 second.
Just zoom into the dimensions on that.
The dimensions for the hammerhead show, they don't have dimensions.
Right there. What is
Well,
At the bottom is 37, but it's not,
the length across the top?
is
40.
80,
Okay.
140.
Okay, just for this, as a multifamily project, the fire hydrant spacing can be no further than 300 feet as a hose would lay. If the project is designed and it requires more than, or it requires 2 or more on-site hydrants, the fire hydrant line will have to be looped. However, if it only requires 2 hydrants, you could do 2 connections. You could put 1 on the street and then 1 internal of the project, based on measuring that out. The fire department access roadway there and turnaround have to meet the dimensions and radiuses of the Appendix D of the California Fire Code. The 2022 edition is currently adopted. Additionally, that fire lane and the turnaround will have to be marked, painted and signage pursuant to the fire code and the vehicle code. And then for me, that's pretty much it on this because it's duplexes. It falls under a 13D fire sprinkler system for the structures.
Thank you, Clayton. Next, with our refuse department with Brianna.
So can service will not be available for this development. It is multifamily. So we will need to have 2 triple bin enclosures installed. Preferably one towards the entrance and one towards the end, probably at the end of one of those hammerheads. That way everybody has a little ease of access to the enclosures.
Thank you. Thank you, Brianna. Next with Robert, with our field services manager. Any comments, Robert, on this project?
I'm gonna defer the water sewer comments to David Payne.
Thank you. David?
Yeah, my only comments would be they would need a backflow device on just after the water meter for the domestic, for the landscape, and if there was to run a private fire line back there, then they would need a backflow device on that fire line out in the public right away. That would be all my comment.
Thank you. Next with Joe, any comments in relation to streets?
No comments.
Thank you, Joe. Next with our police department with Mark, any comments on the project?
No comments.
Thank you, Mark. So that's all comments, our preliminary comments from staff related to the project. Does the applicant or representatives of the applicant have any questions at this time? If not, we're gonna go ahead and provide a letter to the applicant outlining each department's review of the project. And you should be receiving that in 2 to 3 weeks time frame. Thank you. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and move along with our second item, which is PRC 2025-002 for the Hampton Inn. Go ahead and share my screen here. All right, so we have a new commercial development of a hotel located near the corner of South J Street and West Montgomery Avenue on APN 269-050-056 and then 061. The project will require an approval of a conditional use permit for hotels. The project previously received entitlements in 2021. And since then, those entitlements have expired, so we would have to go redo the process. As far as comments from planning, our standards haven't changed much since we last approved this project. So we will have to redo the process for a conditional use permit. There are fees associated with that, and conditional use permits are discretionary approval from our city council, which would go through a public hearing. The conditional use permit fee is $1,164. We will have to go through an environmental assessment of the project site, which we could make the determination as for a notice of exemption. The fee to prepare that document is $79. It will require a noticing map and labels for a minimum 300-foot radius of the site, and the city can prepare that for a fee of $26.50. There's also existing underlying lot lines that straddle through the building, in which we would have to do either a lot line adjustment or a lot merger prior to pulling building permits. There is a fee of $616 to process that. Other major comments from planning would be the planters. The code does require a landscape planter between every 8 stalls. At this time, they're showing like a half diamond shape, which does not meet our minimum dimensions. It would have to be a minimum of 6 feet in our interior dimensions of that planter, so we would have to make that adjustment. I do see that we're just meeting the minimum parking requirements, but as the previous project, we could process a parking reduction request if the applicant would request that, if needed. As far as other comments from staff, we would also like to point out to provide pedestrian, what do you call it, connectivity between the adjacent properties, as there are restaurants and other amenities surrounding this site. But other than that, that's gonna be our major comments from planning. Next, I'll move along with our fire department with Clayton.
Ultimately, for the fire department, this project came in before. There's no additional or new comments from the fire department, as well as we've received a set of plans that are currently under review based on the 2022 California Fire Code. So we're good.
Thank you, Clayton. Next with our building division with James.
Same comments as Clayton just mentioned.
Thank you, James. Next with our public works department, we'll start off with David.
I don't believe we have any comments at this time.
Thank you, David. Next with Brianna for refuse.
I have no comments. The triple bin enclosure, it will be sufficient.
Thank you. And would that location work for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not gonna be really a direct stab. They'll have to pull it.
Maybe come around this way.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be close, but that should work.
Thank you. Next with Joe. Any comments?
No comments.
Thank you. And then next with our police department with Mark.
No comments, sir.
Thank you. And I almost forgot engineering, Javier.
For engineering, they have shown what they have, which is that drive approach. Yeah, being shared with a pedestrian path from the sidewalk to the entrance. So engineering won't have any other comments.
Thank you, Javier.
Mhm.
That's pretty much the comments from staff related to today's project. Are there any questions at this time from the applicant?
Yeah, this is John Frame, architect with R.L. Davidson.
Hey, John.
Hi. So is that landscape planter requirement something that's been changed in the last 3 or 4 years? Because this is the way it was approved before with those diamonds.
Our standards have not changed.
And that this is the way it was approved was with those diamonds.
I can't speak on the previous city planners. but our code would require those planters to meet our minimum dimensions. We do have our city planner with us, Jeff. If you want to speak on that comment.
Yeah, so, yeah, we're aware that it was approved. Hey, John.
Hi, Jeff.
We are aware it was approved with the half diamonds the last time. And as
Yeah.
Oscar said, it doesn't meet the standard now. It didn't meet it then. So we're gonna give
Okay.
you that comment, as the official comment. But we're going to go back through the previous approvals and figure out if there was some other mechanism or rationale as to why it was approved that way. So,
Oh, okay.
and we'll follow up with you on that.
Okay, I'll just sit tight on it then, because,
Okay.
so right now, in order to be compliant, you're saying they have to be 6 feet wide?
Yeah. Similar, yeah,
Okay.
similar to what Oscar's highlighting there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Understood.
and we don't wanna, I mean, and then I guess if there was a way to reduce our required parking, because right now we have 90, we're right at the 90.
Uh-huh.
Which is 1-to-1.
You could propose up to 10% of your total parking as compact parking stalls, John. That could assist you with meeting
Okay.
the planter design. That way
Okay.
we don't lose a lot of parking stalls, because I know parking is a big item here for this project.
Yeah, and what's the compact stall size? Is it 8 or 8.5 feet wide?
I believe it's 8 by 8. It's 8. But what is it? Here? Minimum 8, I believe, wide. But let me confirm that.
Okay. I think that was the main, oh, and then I do remember there being a comment at some point trying to get a pedestrian access between the hotel and
Yeah.
the restaurant to the
To the east.
to the east, which was the Denny's or something like that. So I don't know what
Right.
happened there. So I'll try to get that one back on there.
Thank you. I just confirmed that the compact dimensions is minimum 7 feet wide by 15 feet long.
Wow. Okay. I don't think we'll do 7 foot wide, but all right.
Nice.
Seven's real narrow. I've never seen a 7 foot wide stall.
I think I saw some in the Bay Area last weekend, but
Oh, really?
oh yeah, they were very tight.
Huh.
But
Yeah, it makes it
I
hard
mean,
to get out of the car.
I'm not suggesting that means you should do it.
Right, right.
I'm agreeing with you that they're tiny. I mean,
Okay.
my hand span almost covers the whole thing. So.
Right. All right. I will, we'll take that into account and see what we can do to get a planter in there. Could that planter, since the compact stall isn't required to be as deep, can the planter just like be the front of the car space?
I see what you're saying. So instead of the landscaped area being perpendicular to the property line, it would be parallel with the property line.
Yeah, parallel with the front curb, right?
Yeah, yeah.
With the curb.
Across 2 or
But-
3.
By like yeah, like 2 or 3 stalls.
Mm-hmm. I don't. That's clever. Well, that could be a good interpretation. So yeah, we'll write that down, Garrett.
Okay.
If they can rotate that sideways, then you got 2 cars, then you still get it.
Would it still be between those posts?
The front one.
Sounds good, John. We'll provide each department's comments in a letter for you in about 2 to 3 weeks timeframe. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we'll be able to assist you.
All right. Sounds good, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Next, we have the third item on today's agenda, which is PRC 2025-003 for J&J Plastics. Let me pull up those plans here. Oh, I haven't pulled it up yet. All right, so we have a proposal for a new 20,000 square foot commercial warehouse. Located at the end of Thunderbolt Drive on APN 302-390-019. The property is zoned airport industrial and it has a general plan land designation of industrial park. And the property is also within the airport overlay district. As far as comments from planning, they're gonna be pretty minimal, straightforward. The location of the building does meet setbacks. The parking area complying with section 30410 of the development code, which looks like you do meet those standards. Trash enclosures complying with 300.013. Any proposed fencing complying with 300.03 of the development code. That's pretty much it from planning. Next with our fire department with Clayton.
I still have some questions specific to the commodity and how the commodity is gonna be packaged.
And I'm gonna have to get more, so a lot of you guys were in grammar school or something, but back in 2010 at
Okay.
PRC, this thing went through PRC in 2010.
Oh, nice.
Okay,
15 years ago, but at that time, you know, this is the same business as the
Next
Enduraquest.
door, yes.
So at the Enduraquest, they actually manufacture the plastic products. This building is no longer gonna be a manufacturing building, it's gonna be a warehouse only.
Mhm.
And they have a new owner now, bought into it, and they are gonna sell and distribute the products that go along with the portable units and this, that, and the other. So Clayton, I'll get you more information on that.
yeah, because when I was just looking at the application, and it's just like, you know, plastic pellets gonna be stored, right?
Yeah, they will
So-
have plastic and there'll be some solutions, mostly cleaning and this, that, the other.
So, because what we'll need is we'll need the commodity identified specifically, the hazard classification of the commodity, and then the amount of that
Right.
commodity.
Yeah,
It shows the storage is gonna be 16 feet high, which is already high piled storage.
Right.
So,
it'll probably be about that, yeah.
so ultimately, the sprinkler system's gonna have to be designed
Uh-huh.
to meet.
And that's
the
what
requirements.
we were gonna do before, so.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff. Pretty straightforward. We know it needs to be sprinklered. We need plans, underground plans, all of that stuff. And then fire extinguishers placed, Knox box, you know, standard comments that are for everything. When I look at the proposal, we are gonna need a fire lane around that.
Okay.
Around the perimeter of the building.
Okay,
Doesn't look like you have room to have a fire lane and a turn around and come back. It's probably easier gonna be just to loop around the back and come around. To get things moving.
so. I think
I
there's room to go all the way around it.
Yeah, and I think so too. When I'm looking at it, right, so. What I'm looking at is essentially
Yeah,
just
there's
establishing.
Ton of room here
You
and
got
here and here.
28 feet, so giving us, because you're probably gonna have to give them, I don't know, probably some landscaping or something on the, I don't know.
So this is actually out at the airport, the storm drainage is actually, because this is the airport industrial park. The storm drainage, this is actually a swale that goes this way, goes behind here and goes out to the airport. So it's a gravel, so it'll be an all terrain or whatever you
It
call.
has to be paved,
Okay,
paved or asphalt.
Okay,
hard surface.
okay,
So, but yeah, so we'll need the fire lane around.
Okay.
right? And then,
that'd be a 20-foot lane.
as long as the building's not gonna be more than 30 feet tall.
Yeah, it's 20
Yeah.
foot, 4 feet, I guess.
Yeah, so yeah, as long as it's not more than 30 feet, it can be a 20-foot fire lane.
Okay.
We don't need
I
the
think we can,
26.
yeah.
And then, fire hydrant spacing is 300 feet. This is obviously gonna have to have a looped line.
Okay, are we gonna
but-
need more? We're gonna need an on-site line then?
Oh, absolutely.
Because there is
You can't,
one,
but you have to go 300 feet as a hose would lay all the way around this thing with hydrant.
okay,
So
so,
it's gonna have to be looped and tie in at 2 places, the water line. And I'm not sure can you pull up the water lines out there?
Yeah.
so we actually, and again, we actually pulled a permit in 2008, and we did the work, and we put in all of this, which is part of the airport industrial plan. We put in a curb gutter sidewalk because they were talking about this project back then. And we have stubbed the 8-inch line already on the
Right.
property.
So you've got this here.
So if we come in on the property 300 feet, because there is a hydrant here, if we come on the property 300 feet with one hydrant, you don't think that would get us?
Because you have to go no further than 300 feet around. It's gonna have to come around. There'll need to be hydrants back here, because how long is this building?
The building's 200 feet.
Right, so look at, it's 300 feet as a hose would lay. So when we look at this, right?
Okay,
So let's just. Right, 300 feet gets us a first fire hydrant here.
okay,
300 feet gets us another fire hydrant here, right? 300 feet probably gets us back to that one, but again, no more than 300 feet spacing. Additionally, these hydrants have to meet the amount of hydrants, because there's 2 things, right? It's the distance is one of the key factors, but it's the required flow is the second factor. Now you're gonna get credit for the building being sprinklered, but making sure that the available water flow also meets the minimum required fire flow for the building.
okay,
Okay, so sometimes that's a trigger. Sometimes you have less than that distance, but it still requires 2 hydrants because you've got to get the flow,
okay.
right? So, but looking at the water lines, it looks like that could probably be looped up and over. You probably have to get maybe an easement or something from them to loop it across.
Well, this is city property too. This
Yeah,
was part of,
So probably tie, just,
that was,
so.
this cul-de-sac here, there was supposed to be,
See here, so if you, for example, to loop your line, if you just went like this, right? And tied into this one, right? And then you could do your hydrant, run one out to here, hydrant, what, you know what I mean? However, the layout is, now this becomes looped, and if this gets shut down, water still comes from this direction. If this side gets shut down, water still comes from that direction. So it's kind of a loop off of a loop. But it's, again, for someone to design and lay this thing.
okay, because the way, and I have it, but
Mhm.
the actual APN map of this is the end of an identical cul-de-sac here
Mhm.
that the city owns.
Mhm.
So I don't think if
Well,
the city's gonna,
So, but the benefit is that if this gets looped and comes around, whenever this gets developed or sold,
that person.
that person has the benefit of that for their project,
Mhm.
potentially.
Mhm.
You know, or even if this is another cul-de-sac like this and it's somewhere in this area, right? Now you've got a water line splitting the 2 for them to come off of and loop through their projects. If they,
Okay.
depending on what they develop, right, they may need to.
So is this right here, would we be allowed to tie in here
Yes.
and go like
Yeah,
that?
you could absolutely do that completely on your own.
Uh-huh.
Right? I'm just thinking dirt's easier to dig up than asphalt, but if you're gonna be paving anyway and it doesn't matter to you,
Yeah.
I don't care. either.
Okay,
But this would be considered a loop because we would have water coming from this direction and water coming from.
so
that
even if
direction.
this is on their property, we can get to it.
You should be able to get to it based on what I'm looking at here, depending, you have to check with them on the size and everything else and all that stuff, but you absolutely could go through here and then come right down here on the property line, tie back into here, because this is not a flag, this is a loop because water's coming from 2 directions.
Okay,
Right, we have a flag when you have a single line, let's take this out and then we try to go up here, you're just flagging back to yourself.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so, but you, yeah, absolutely could do that.
That would be better.
Hmm?
Because who knows what.
Yeah, they never know what's gonna go here, so I'm just saying, yeah, it just needs to go across and tie back into this line.
well, this was, this was, we started with this building, I think in the early nineties.
Mhm.
And you can tell nobody's, in our lifetime it'll probably, hopefully a bigger, industry would take that whole thing, but anyway, so, okay. Yeah.
No, absolutely. You can tell right back in on your property.
So the swale in the back,
They're gonna have to figure out how that, to give us the fire lane.
can they pave it?
Oh, yeah, it's,
It has to be, yeah.
it's just that when we did it before,
Pave it.
see, I have all this stuff, good stuff. I have a Jim Winton drawing here from the permit, and it showed a swale behind there. We actually, this paving is done. The V gutter's all in, and it comes to here and the V gutter stops. And then this was a drainage swale, so we would just have to make that a paved drainage.
I guess my question to him was, can a fire truck drive on a,
It'll have to give us you'll have to give us the 20-foot lane.
Right, I think what James is asking is, it's gonna be
but it's gonna have a.
in shape. But if you drive right down the middle of the lane and
As long as it's, I mean, as long as it's not significant, like,
yeah, you're not gonna be like this.
Slopes,
You would
but
have
yeah.
to be in the middle.
yeah, I mean, we do that on any of the projects.
Yeah,
That go to a.
probably the big thing would be the transition here from the V.
And it's a 28-foot radius is what we need, is that
Yeah,
for?
yeah, I
so-
think that was like 40 feet. I think we got plenty of room, so,
Well, yeah, and then have them kind of laid out and see what they can figure out.
yeah.
Right, so. But yeah, for the most part, I'll submit the comments and everything with them,
Mhm.
so.
Okay,
Logan's in here. Logan's gonna be the designer, correct?
correct, yeah.
Logan, do you have any questions?
I don't know, Greg may fire me after those fire comments, Clayton, so.
You're welcome.
Come on, bail me out, Logan.
So does the fire lane, does that entirely have to be paved, or can we just do an all-weather surface with, crushed rock?
What are you offering in lieu of the paved surface?
Compacted crushed rock? If it can support your apparatus.
No, not as a permanent, no. If it was gonna be temporary,
Okay.
I would allow it, but like if you had like phased project or something like that.
Yeah.
What I don't wanna get into, cause here's what happens is the maintenance on these things falls to the owners.
Yeah.
But when they're not paved, they deteriorate rather quickly, and then nobody wants to be responsible for putting money back into them.
Sure.
And we've encountered that a bunch of times. Previous administrations, people making decisions. I'm not gonna go that route. Like I would consider it if we were phasing a project and you had something coming in a year or two, like it
Right.
wouldn't deteriorate in that time, but if this is gonna be the permanent fixture, it's gotta be a permanent hard surface roadway.
Okay, understood. Greg, so does the entire site drain to the north to that swale and then west? Is that what you're saying?
Drains due west, yeah, everything goes to that northeast corner and goes west.
Okay. So
So
are
the
you,
airport, it goes behind the other building and out onto the airport property, and that's supposedly allowable drainage for, and again, we're in a airport,
Yeah,
this was developed by the city from what I understand, and so that's where our drainage goes.
okay, if we pave that north property line fire lane area, are you thinking of still trying to surface drain to the west, or are you gonna want DI? with-
Because right now, per Winton's plan, there's a V gutter that goes along the east property line.
Yeah.
And it's got a little 5-foot return to the west, kind of right in the middle of that space. So we would probably just carry that V gutter all the way to the property line and pave it.
and the other thing too is just depending on what it looks like back there, it might mean shifting the building forward a little bit to give you the 20-foot fire lane.
Oh, I think we got.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know for sure, cause it shows 28 feet back there.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure how wide that. Yeah, swale is going out to that side.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think that it's a problem. And see, if we do it with a V gutter, we can flatten everything out too, because, with the,
Well, yeah, you're gonna get better drainage if it's.
yeah, so I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. So.
Thank you. Next with James.
No comment.
No comments. Next with Javier, with our engineering department.
Uh, so let me see. That drainage swell is something to look into because I know the adjacent property when it was supposed to turn into green power, we had to maintain the drainage as it went from the east parcels coming off Newcomb up the adjacent parcels east property line, then north along that north area. So we can, the
So
best thing would go ahead.
I'm wondering, when Mr. Winton drew that up, he was a pretty thorough guy.
Mhm.
And he probably, so what you're saying is the adjacent parcel to the east would have to be allowed to drain across our property? Is that what you're saying? In the same,
Right, 'cause the swale managed all the flow for all that that area north of that street.
right,
And so the best thing would be to maintain it as it is. If it does have to be altered, then we'd have to start looking at just making sure that the flow it was designed to would be maintained.
yeah. Well, Jim, when Jim Winton drew that, he had specific grades shot for that B gutter and everything, so all we would have, I mean, if you, upon inspection, you could see it basically would work. The adjacent property would just have to do a similar construction. I don't think it would require a bunch of fill or cut or anything like that. It's kind of designed to work with existing situations out there, so. But, like I said, when we took the permit in 2008, did those improvements, which were approved, I have a permit number, I can't find the file anymore, but have the permit number. I think that was all. I don't know if anybody here in this room other than me was working in 2008, but
Yeah.
anyway.
No, I remember Greg, the plan checking this. This was one of my first plan checks when I came to the city, and
You might have been involved in it.
yeah, so there we do have some documentation on the EndureQuest grading and drainage plan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
we
can-
did improvements in anticipation. They were, like I said, we got a PRC in 2010. They were gonna do this, and it never happened, never happened, never happened.
Right.
So they have, with a new owner, he's very interested in proceeding with this project. So I realized some of the conditions in 2010 aren't exactly the same. But I would think the grading and drainage that Jim Winton did would be unless something is changed with the overall master plan of the airport.
Hey, Javier, quick question. Do you remember the industrial warehouse that was proposed there on that site?
I do remember something. I just don't know if it was that one at the corner, the empty lot down
Yeah.
one building.
We're the only ones that had,
Or it
yeah,
might have been over here, huh?
yeah,
Yeah, but I do remember seeing a drainage plan back then, and as we've dealing with green power and some potential development of the parcels at Newcomb.
yeah. I can have Logan send you a copy of this grading plan from Jim Winton if you don't have it. Because it's got some intersection flow lines of a ditch in the airport, and he's based everything on that, so I think it. Yeah, I think it's pretty simple, really. The biggest thing would be just make sure what we do, satisfies Clayton and back.
Mhm.
Which again, I don't think we have to change any grades to do that. So.
Okay. But yeah, I wouldn't really have any comment except that maintaining that drainage swale, so we'll
Agreed.
start digging into that.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next with our Public Works Department, starting with David.
Yeah, my only comments would be the domestic landscape and fire service to the building would have to be protected by approved backflow device.
Okay, yeah, understood.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Next was Brianna. For refuse.
I have no comments.
Thank you. Any comments, Joe, in regards to streets?
No, sir, no comments.
Thank you. Next with our police department with Mark. Any comments on the project?
No comments.
All right, that's all comments from staff related to today's project. Does the applicant have any questions at this time? Any further questions? No, we got it. Perfect. So we'll provide you the comments from each department in a letter in about 2 to 3 weeks timeframe. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I would like to thank you for the application.
Two backflows, since we're in the middle of
At any connection point to the city system, it has to have backflow because it's a private.
and again, the term monitored.
Monitored is monitored by the fire sprinkler system because it has the ability to shut it off to the
Okay.
sprinkler system because.
So just like a flow switch.
So if you put that private looped fire hydrant line
Mhm.
and you stub off of that line for your fire sprinkler service, both of those OS and Ys have to be monitored because you can shut the water off to the sprinkler system, right? Golden State's getting a little bit of a pass because one of the OS and Ys that you installed is on their property completely dated. They'll be required to do a monthly visual inspection. Somebody will just have to go back there and look and make sure, hey, both stems are up, no leaks, water's flowing. Right? Not necessarily documented or whatever, but that'll be a behavior thing that they'll have to do, right? Now, if their project develops further out there and they put an access point or that becomes accessible to the public, then they'll have to figure out how to monitor that.
Wait, stop this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry, we can stop.
Oh, yeah, no one ever, ready? All right, so that's all items for today's PRC agenda. We're gonna go ahead and end today's meeting at 2:22 p.m. Thank you.